Alright, hello fun and welcome back to my Fallout 4 Mod Spotlight series, where today we are having a look at the Ingram MAC-10 mod, which is being made by user Utherian. And what this glorious little piece of work looks to add into the game is the real-world MAC-10. And oh my, I've been having a whole lot of fun with this gun here in the Commonwealth, as I think it fits in quite nicely into this world, as not only is the design, you know, very boxy and a little weird looking, which I think fits in very well into the aesthetic of the general post-apocalypse, but it is also a Cold War gun, being made in the very early 60s, which in my mind makes it fit in quite nicely with this post-Cold War alternate universe apocalypse we got going on here, which is lovely. So let's jump on down here and have a look at what we do get with the most standard-ish version of the Ingram MAC-10. And you're not going to be doing a whole lot of damage with this thing, which is only 13 damage, with a 45 round, with a firing rate of 127, range of 107, accuracy of 79, and a weight of 6. And as you can see here, it is a pretty good looking gun, very nicely modeled and textured. I do like all the little details, like the information there on the side of the gun, and it's just overall very nicely made. It does have a decent selection of modifications for you to mess around with this thing, but it is more or less always going to be a very fast-firing submachine gun slash machine pistol, which is just entertaining. Now, thankfully, you can up the damage, though, in a little bit meh of ways. We'll talk more about that here in a moment. And I also said that this was standard-ish because, well, you can't make this gun at a crafting bench. You can only find it out in the world, and I don't know if the stock should be folded or unfolded as standard, so I left it as this. If it's unfolded, it's a higher accuracy. If it's folded in, it's going to be a slightly lower accuracy, I think 63. But all in all, still a pretty fun little weapon. Now, as for how you do get your hands on one of these lovely devices, well, it's not going to take you long, as you'll start to see them in the world at level 2. And when you do reach level 2, you're actually going to get some UI bits that do pop up on the screen for you to select how you want this in the leveled loot list. Whether you want it in both NPCs as well as vendors, or perhaps maybe you just want vendors to sell it, and if you're so inclined, you can even make it no leveled loot integration whatsoever, which means you're going to have to cheat the thing in. Now, after you do that, you're going to get a second pop-up about mod availability, and whether you want modifications for the gun to actually be available to you in vendors, or if you only want to be able to craft those at a weapon workbench. And finally, it's going to tell you to go and have some fun out in the world, and you can either choose I Will, taking you back into the game, or you can choose to cheat one of these MAC-10s in immediately so you can begin having some fun. And so yeah, pretty easy integration, and if you do the full leveled loot list injection, you'll basically find this on nearly any enemy in the Commonwealth. It's on basically every faction. Someone, somewhere, will be holding one of these guns. So let's take a look at the modifications we do get, and have a look at our Ingram MAC-10, and start with the receiver category, where we only have 3, either a rusty one, the most simple, or a restored receiver that's a little bit cleaned up, increasing fire rate, or the improved, which has an even higher fire rate and also somehow gets less heavy. I don't know, I guess something, or lightweight parts, it says it right there. I forgot about that. There we go, nice. And then after that, in the muzzle category, we have another 3 options of either nothing, a compensator, or a suppressor if you're wanting to be a bit sneaky with this thing. Now then, we have the stock category, where I mentioned we either have the unfolded or folded, and indeed I was right, it's 79 on the unfolded, and folded is a 63. Better for the hip firing, but bad for sighted recoil. But, you know, it looks good. And then we have the magazine category with either a standard or a quick eject magazine, so you can reload a bit more quickly. And then we have the fire mode selection, where you can either make it fully auto or semi-automatic. Now, by default, it should be fully auto. It's a MAC-10. Plus, every gun I've found in the Commonwealth so far has been automatic, so I'd say that's the standard. And unfortunately, when you go semi-auto, you know, a lot of other weapons, when you make them semi-auto, the damage goes up. That is not the case here. Your firing rate goes drastically down, and just your accuracy does go up. So for this basic version, it's still going to be 13 on the single shot. So honestly, just leave it at full auto in my mind. Then after that, we can choose a different bolt assembly to change the ammunition, and this is where you can drastically, well, not drastically, but somewhat change the ammo. Now, the standard is the 45, and you can up it to an improved or optimized version. Now, the improved is just going to up the accuracy, the optimized is going to help the accuracy, the firing rate, and the damage, not by much, but some. Or you could actually downgrade the gun to a 38 for only 10 damage, or up the damage again to a 10mm for a 16 base damage, or with the optimized 19. So still not a whole lot, but that is of course also before any perks. This character is blank on all of those things, so yeah, it's the base level there. Then after that, we'd have an interesting feature here of different animation sets. Now, by default, it's going to have the default animation, but if you want to be gangsta, which is just me saying that is just so awkward, you can have a gangsta straight hood there animation where you are holding the weapon cocked to the side. And if you did put a suppressor on this thing, well, there's also a suppressor grip animation, so your character holds their left hand on the suppressor, which is pretty cool that you can actually choose between different animations here. I like that. It's an interesting feature I don't actually think I've ever seen before on a modded gun. Now, after this, we have the skins, where we can customize this thing with either a default multi-cam black, orange box, pink princess, red digital, or Vietnam skins, so you can, you know, make it look a bit more you. And finally, we have a damage modifier, which, oh boy, you guys know my opinion on these. I'm okay with them if they have requirements. This one has no requirements, though, but you can take it all the way up from none to plus 300 damage modification there, which, hey, if you want to do that, have fun. Enjoy it. It's modding. That's the whole point of it. I just wish there'd be some sort of requirement here to make it seem as if you earned it a bit. But, oh well, you can still pump that up to make it a pretty decent endgame gun, especially with its firing rate. Well, let's actually take a look at us firing this thing and just start off with the basic. Now, unfortunately, back in the modifications, there's no other sights, so you're gonna have to deal with the iron sights, which are... they're alright, they're serviceable, but the front bit of the iron sights is such a thin little piece of metal that it easily gets lost in any darker sort of textures, as you can see there. Can't see it there, can't see it there, can barely see it there. So it makes it a little bit hard, but frankly, with the fire rate of this gun, you're probably going to want to use it in VATS anyways and just rip through people, which is great, but let's take some shots. And there we go. We chewed through all 40 of those bullets pretty darn quickly. And yeah, it's a fun little weapon. The kick is decent. It's not too horrible. If we fire off the whole thing, you can see we are kicking up, and it's going a little bit all over the place, but we only went from right here to roughly right there. So it's pretty easy to keep this thing on target as compared to some other guns we've looked at where we would have been up there by the end of 40 rounds. But fun times. Now, of course, with modifications, you can do things like this one being a semi-automatic and this one with being much more fully automatic. Good times, good times. And let's check out the single shot damage. Well, rather than damage, more the sound and slow firing rate. Granted, you can pretty much shoot as quick as you can click, but it's still just no no replacement for being able to sit here, gangsta style, and just unleash a ton of bullets. Beautiful. And as you can see here, we are on the gangsta style animations, and on the suppressed one, I do have it with the suppressor animation, so our hand is forward, whereas on this one, we have the default where the hand is sort of in the back. Again, I do like that. Just a nice little touch with having the different animations you can choose. Good times. Oh boy, the iron sights are a bit weirder when you go gangsta with that the down sight. I hadn't actually tried that yet. Oh, that's weird and really takes up your vision on the right-hand side. Good times, good times. Now let's take a look at this against a live target, and we're gonna do a Davy the Deathclaw again, and I think typically when we spawn them in, it's behind me. So if we like hit here and spawn in a Deathclaw. Oh boy, he's right here. Oh, okay, I was hoping he'd be in the pit. He is not in the pit, but you know what? With this lovely gun, granted with the 300% increase, he goes down pretty quick thanks to that just amazing fire rate on this thing. You can just chew through targets like it was a chainsaw. It's gorgeous. Oh, we almost got him in just one solid magazine. There we go. There we go. Beautiful. But yeah, that is the Ingram MAC-10 mod, where you can have this amazing fast-firing machine pistol in your own world. And if you'd like to check it out, of course, take a look at the link in the description, as per usual. But that, my friends, is going to be it for today. I hope you all have enjoyed. You do come back for the next. But until that time, thank you for watching. And as always, have a good one.